speakers are going to share a microphone. Awesome. Yeah. They'll figure out a way to round robin together. Not too long ago, I guess we both UT Austin students, and recently got jobs at a studio that recently released a game underlined by Stan Lee. What is the name called?
He's a traveler and it looks like a man.
There you go. Please welcome Ruben Rangel and Conor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruben Rangel. Like John said, I recently graduated from UT in May, American Writing major, and I currently work as a designer and developer at D7 Studios.
I'm Conor. I was also at UT with Ruben, and actually, formerly I worked at D7 Studios as an audio guy and doing a little bit of game design and production. I'm currently doing some freelance projects in music composition and sound design. First, I want to take a quick poll. How many of you here are currently working in the game industry? Raise your hands. How many of you are not but want to be? Okay, so it's a pretty even split. Our talk tonight is really directed at that second group. A few years ago, we were where you are now. We wanted to be in the games industry, and we weren't yet. Studying at UT, they don't have a formal game development curriculum, so we were really on our own in determining who we needed to meet and what we needed to learn and just how to approach this whole thing. So we'd like to give you a little bit of advice along those lines tonight. Ruben's going to start off by giving you sort of a history of what we worked on while we were still students.
Right. So UT has a student organization called the Electronic Games Developer Society, also known as EGAD, and that's where we got our start. I joined a Half-Life 2 mod team. We did our first mod here, Pizza Vana. Pizza Vana is a pizza delivery mod for Half-Life 2. That was pretty cool. It was good to get our team like really get into game development. A lot of us didn't have experience doing that. So it was really just a learning experience. That started in fall 2008 as far as our mod team was concerned. And in summer 2009, we pretty much, or summer 2008, sorry, we pretty much moved into a game development team. We competed in the Art Spark competition. We made no game here at Iris. That's when Conor joined our team. He was our musician, our composer, our sound effects guy. Pretty much everything audio Conor did. So we're grateful for that. And when we returned to school next year, we continued to work on IGDA, a 2D stationary built Flash and C#. So after that, Conor and I received an internship at Game Games, which is now Game Solid Games. During that process, we created 16 prototypes, which you see here. 2 of these were finally built into full games and published to the App Store, which are available now, by the way. But that's basically our experience. Conor?
All right, so basically if we want you to take one thing away from this tonight, it's this: ideas are cheap, make something. So this is a pretty seemingly obvious idea, but so many students just don't do it. They find excuses, they think their game wouldn't be good enough, so it's not worth doing. They say, I'm not a programmer, therefore I don't have the ability to make something on my own. They actually think that it's more about the ideas and the theory, and so they pour all their effort into learning, into playing games, and sometimes even into making amazing design docs which nobody will ever read and which they have nothing that you can actually play as a result. So this is bad. We want to encourage you to actually make something that you can show off. Next. We have a few tips that will maybe help you out if you are making things, and hopefully if you're not, will inspire you to do this and make you feel like it's maybe a little bit less daunting than you thought it might be. And the first tip is to work with other people. Working with other people is really a good way to keep yourself motivated and honest. And this can be anything from actually becoming a member of a game team, like we did with Alchemic Studio at UT. It could be having a friend who you just bounce ideas off of who's in a similar position. It could actually be having a rival that you try to one-up all the time. It could be joining a contest where you're given sort of an arbitrary deadline and are competing against other people to accomplish some game design task. We actually, I know a few members of Austin Studio actually wish that there had been a rival studio within EGAD, because we're the only ones who are actually making stuff on a regular basis. And, like, I mean, wow, how much could we have done? How much would we have been inspired if there had been another studio to say, you know what, I think we can make a first-person shooter better than you guys.
Right. On to our second point is to not reinvent the wheel. I'm sure you hear this all the time. There are a couple of things here that you can take away. First, if you're pretty much a designer or any type of developer, don't build a game engine unless you really want to, unless that's your mission. Go ahead and use something like Unity, Flexible, that was stated earlier for prototyping. Anything along the lines of that, just to get your game idea made. GameStyle is a great tool too for rapid prototyping. But yeah, don't do that unless you really want to. Another thing you can do is, as far as the developer goes, use old code that you did from previous projects. If you have a control system, a camera system that you really like from another game, you think it'd be perfect for your game, go ahead and use it. Don't be afraid to do that. Not to make your game any more expensive. Make it all better, save you some time. Use that time to make new game mechanics or whatever you want, polish it up, just make it a better game overall.
Okay, a third tip tonight is keep a narrow focus. Don't try to do too much in a single project. I've got a couple stories from our own experiences to illustrate this. And the first one is from the 2008 Art Spark Festival. We made a game called Iris. And Iris had a Final Fantasy-like overworld with a unique puzzle-based combat system of our own invention. And it was story-driven, so we had these fully voiced cutscenes that were a ton of fun for me. And we wanted to do the whole thing coded from scratch because we thought that using a crutch like GameMaker or anything like that would be cheating. So, keeping in mind that we're students and that all of this is new to us, that's 4 huge things that we had to do. And none of them really got the attention that they deserve. I'm kind of proud to say we did a pretty good job of pulling it all together at the end. We were able to show off sort of a taste of what we intended to do, but it wasn't really where we wanted to be. So the next story is moving forward a year, keeping in mind we're learning as we go. To the summer of 2009, which was again that game's internship. Ruben here created a game whose full title I can't remember, but it featured a pirate monkey who sat on a palm tree. It was called Pirate Monkeys. It featured a pirate monkey who sat on a palm tree. And the gameplay involved you grabbing the palm tree and pulling it back as far as you wanted. It had a really nice stretch and creak to it, and then you let it go. And the monkey soared across multiple screens, just gibbering at the top of his lungs and raining down fiery death with banana shurikens or something. And the enemies he was targeting didn't really do much. And the gameplay loop was kind of broken, and there was no UI to speak of. Like, this is not a product that was finished that we could ship or sell or anything. But that one mechanic was just so awesome, and it was so fun to watch. And this is actually a really valuable lesson. If you talk to people in the industry, you're going to hear the following a lot. Figure out what people are doing in your game moment to moment, and make that awesome. Right, you heard a few related ideas earlier. So if you're running and jumping, how good is your jump? If you are swimming or flying or whatever, that's got to be awesome. If you're firing a weapon, that's got to be a fun experience just in itself. And here was an example where we said, we're not even going to finish the game. We're not going to make a whole game about launching a monkey. We're just going to make launching a monkey. And it worked really well. And we were able to say, okay, yeah, good, we're done, move on. If you take that approach, so when I say keep a narrow focus, you can even take it to this extreme of saying, I'm not going to finish the game. I'm just going to make this one thing that was a cool idea that got me excited. And if you take that approach, obviously you're not going to finish a lot of games. But you are going to have a lot of really great stuff, and you're going to stay inspired to keep making more of it because you never get bogged down.
And our final point is the game will never be perfect. Never, never, no, still not now. At some point you're going to have to distribute your game, whether it be online, ship it to the App Store, send it to your publisher, whatever it may be. You do need a deadline. Otherwise, your game will stay in development hell. Just move it forever. Easy, big one. But really, you just have to know that your game is as good as it can be at this point, and you have to let other people see it. And you might be scared that people may trash it. You don't think it's perfect yet. You don't think it's as great as it can be. But sooner or later, people are going to have to see it. And people are going to have to play it. People are going to have to give you comments on it and feedback. You just got to take that with stride and really incorporate the feedback to make a better game.
Okay, so our last slide here is why do this anyway? We're talking about prototypes here, not stuff that you're really going to end up selling, just stuff for you to show off and learn from. So why even bother as opposed to just study? One reason is that you're going to get a lot of rookie mistakes out of your system. You're going to make mistakes that you didn't even know were there to be made until you actually make them. And then you're going to fix them, and you're going to be a lot better off for it. You're going to be constantly learning. I mean, this has kind of been a thread running through the whole thing, so I won't harp too much on that. You're going to build up a portfolio, and this is valuable for everyone, not just artists and musicians and those types. It's valuable if you're a designer, if you're a programmer, to actually be able to go into an interview and say, I know I can make games good for you, make games well for you. You should say well instead of good in this case. Because I've done it, because I've made games before, and here they are. And finally, context. We all recognize that it's important to know the right people in this industry, and you're going to meet a lot of those people as you work on projects, get feedback from your mentors and your teachers, work with your colleagues making games. So that's all we have. We have our contact information here if you'd like to get in touch with us, and that's the presentation. Thank you.
So now, I just want to let you know that those cards can be placed in a little orange basket on the back table. She's holding it up right there. Please drop it in on your way out. And also, before I forget, please send your empties. We want people from TED to be glad that they had us here. So thanks very much for, you've all been great. And we have our last speaker of the evening setting up.